I want to talk about why people do not change. I get this question actually quite a lot from leaders and executives who are running teams within organizations and are struggling with um, getting things done within their team, getting the team being accountable, responsible for the things they have to deliver. Now, generally, I always look at some basic foundations. I look at people, process, and systems. The first thing we always take a look at is how do these three work together? Sometimes there's a system causing more work. Sometimes there are processes which are not clear, which as a result you and your team are doing more than you should be. There are a lot of things we can touch around these three areas when we talk about making sure that you guys are doing the right thing and that your team can focus on being effective on a daily basis. But there's an elephant in the room, a massive one, because more and more I'm starting to see, and I'm not sure if it's related to COVID and what happened last year and this year, if it's related to having people working remotely. But one thing I'm starting to notice is that I'm hearing a lot of leaders complaining, and there are quite some comments I hear a lot. I'm going to list them up because I really want to see if this will resonate with you. I hear leaders who feel that they cannot go on vacation. Just after the summer, I had a lot of chats with leaders in my network, and they told me, "Look, I went on holiday, I came back, and we had a major backlog. Although the volumes were not that high because everyone's on holiday, still there was a major backlog, and the quality went down, ridiculously down. It was just out of proportion. How can this happen?" I hear leaders that are telling me, "Look, I don't even time to have lunch. I eat lunch behind my desk and I work 60 hours a week. It's so incredibly busy. We got so much to do as a team. I'm running from one fire to the other, continuously trying to solve issues, mellow things out, helping my team be successful because they are under pressure. And there are a lot of things going wrong. We are solving issues. I'm part of all meetings, or at least the ones which are important. And I'm quite surprised how many meetings we are in. Of course, the Zoom and the My Teams are not really helping because there's a meeting almost every hour, which blocks us from being really productive. So you have to make a choice. Which meetings are really important for my mid and long-term goals and which do not contribute? Because you don't have to be in all those meetings. To be honest, you don't have to be. I feel that only a small part of my team is able to do more than their regular day-to-day job. And being able to do or being willing to do. They're two different things. I haven't thought about that one. What I see happening in general, and I've got maybe 10 or 15 of these points, is that you as leader, and it could happen that you have been promoted because you have been doing your job really well, have a lot of knowledge and experience. But being a leader means that you're not responsible of doing the activity. You're responsible of making sure that on the longer term and the midterm, the KPIs, the targets, whatever you set for your team are met. That doesn't mean that you're responsible for the activities. And that's where a lot of leaders go wrong. They tend to have 20, 30 different types of activities running through their team, and they feel responsible. So they are running a factory and hoping that the factory keeps running when there's no one around. I can tell you, it doesn't work like that. It just doesn't work like that. And I think you can agree with me. Because if you really want to run and support your team to be more accountable in a way that they can take ownership of their objectives, that they can trust that they can make their own decisions, that requires you to be a bit of a different way or approach the leadership style from a different perspective. So one of the things I want to share with you is a bit around delegative leadership. And that's one of the key things you need to take in account because you as leader are not responsible to solve the activities. You as leader are responsible to helping your team be able to solve anything we throw at them. If it's you, your team, your colleagues, your other teams, your leaders, doesn't matter, your co-creators within you and your team need to be able to handle anything which is thrown at them as long as it fits within their remit. So ask yourself the question, this is more about you. When things escalate, do you jump on it? Do you get involved? Or do you have someone in your team who is accountable for a certain area of your activities? And are you making sure that you coach your team to resolve? Or do you just pick up the fire extinguisher, run up, open it up, and try to put out the fire? When there are improvements to be made, because every team, and I always suggest 10 to 15% of your time should be spent on change, on improving the way you do your work. That could be improving your systems, your processes, anything to make improvements so you're more efficient, more effective, and you achieve your objectives. If you don't progress with improvements, nothing will change. But here comes the key question. If the improvements are made, are you as leader the project lead? Or is someone of your team accountable and responsible for making it work? Important question. When a project or activity requires a decision, is it you as leader who's taking the decision? Or are you coaching your team members to come up with the best possible solution so they can take a decision? So they don't need your permission. Because in a lot of cases, team members do not dare to take decisions because they think they need permission to take a decision. But if they have to ask permission for everything, you're going to be working 60 hours a week. Nothing will happen because you're not always available. And especially when you have really large teams, it's going to be near to impossible. So you need to delegate the decision to your team. You have to coach them. You have to ask the right questions. You have to make sure that they are confident that their concept or idea is the best way forward. So the important thing is make your team accountable also for making the decision. You know the end goal. That's where you have to work towards. They need to make sure that the end goal is achieved within time, budget, quality, etc. Use the traditional Prince2 project manager. But make sure that they can take decisions by themselves. And if they need anything like an additional budget, an additional resource, etc., and they can't get it themselves, you can facilitate. But just do not take ownership of that. They are accountable for that result. And if you do that right, you will see that your team feels that they can be trusted, that you trust them, that you enable them, that they can grow, that they can learn, that they can make mistakes. Because a mistake is not bad. It's just a new way of learning. Right? There's a new way of achieving your goals because the mistake will not be made twice. Then, if you look at your day-to-day operations, if the work has not been completed, I gave you the example of a leader who went on holiday, came back, and everything blew up. Massive backlog, a lot of things not completed, the quality was not right. He felt that, and this kid was a she felt that the team did not do their job really well and they were really dependent on her. The problem there is that in that case, the leader jumped in, told them, this is backlog, how did it come, what can we do, let's get it solved, you have to do that, reprioritize, and they started organizing everything. Stop. That's not your job. Your job is having a chat with them, letting them come up with the solution, making one person accountable for it, and letting them get on with it, but not get involved into the detail. At the end of the day, if you do that, you're going to be working at those 80 hours. You're going to be at home probably after 6 months because you can't handle it anymore. You're going to be having lunch behind your desk. It's just not the right thing to do. So start looking at yourself first and what you can do to delegate all the responsibilities to your team. If you feel that certain team members do not have the capability to do that, then take action. Okay? But make sure that you work on elevating the capabilities they're good at and making them better, and not invest in things they will never pick up anyway. Okay? Because that's just a disinvestment of your money. You are there to make your people better, not to learn them things they will never be able to learn. You are there to make sure that they are enabled and that they have all the opportunity to take ownership of the activities they have to deliver. You didn't hire them just to push on buttons. You hired them to make a difference. Keep that in mind, and I hope that this tip actually helps you change a bit of the dynamic on how you lead your team. Because at the end of the day, everyone has a role to play. Everyone has an accountability for certain elements of what needs to be delivered. It's not you as leader who has that accountability. You have the overall overview of how to get into a certain number or KPI or whatever target you have. That overview is really important for you to monitor which activities really should be done. But really stop getting into the nitty-gritty. Your team members have been hired to do the job. Let them do their job. So I hope this one helps. I want to wish you guys a happy work week. I hope you enjoyed this session. Leave a comment below. If you want to ask me anything, have some ideas on a short video I can record for you, just let me know. Have a lovely day and enjoy.